Let's do mic tests. That looks like that's working good. Get the music back on. We get going. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Next. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Fresh intro. Yes. I found out you can queue videos in OBS. And if I do this, if I play that little intro Nexus, I don't have to edit it in later in DaVinci Pro. So, you know, using my brain there, so I have to do less video editing later. Because man, I loathe video editing. But anyway, welcome to the weekly whale watch. It's Rainbow Runner. Do this every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We hang out here for about an hour. We go over the markets, Rainbow Theory, Toyotas, you name it, Dutch Bros. And then we go back into the Discord, the Rainbow Trends Discord, and we hang out there for an hour, 2 hours, and do an open mic. So more than welcome to hop on. If you have any questions of ever how to find any stuff for us, rainbow-trends.com. Type it into Google. It's the first thing that comes up. But the Discord link is up at the top, so you can find that there. If you're curious why my charts look like unicorns and rainbows, it's all whale theory, rainbow theory. It's a bunch of different stuff all combined together. And if you want to find anything about it, check out the website. Check out our OGs, friends and family, and all that. So to get started, unfortunate event. I had to watch this, so I'm going to make you guys watch it.
December 6th, your main event, Ansem versus Bitboy.
You have no idea how much money I want to put on Ben.
This is a main event you don't want to miss, folks. Once again, Crypto Fight Night Dubai, December 6th. Get ready, it's gonna be wild.
I really wonder what the odds are going to be. And they start dancing for no reason. I'm sorry. I had to watch it, so I wanted to make you guys watch it. But I seriously want to vote. Bet on Ben. Never doubting that dude. And there were some questions earlier about drug testing, and I've been assured that Ben is willing to test any drug, so we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Bit of an update. I've started working on a, what do you call it? Like a GitHub style Wikipedia workbook for Rainbow Trends. So hopefully be having this built out and get it all set up on the website, because there's a bunch of frequently asked questions in the actual like back end of the website that manages all of the homepage of like the normal stuff's really hard to edit, but this stuff's a bit easier. So we'll be integrating it and linking it in, and you guys can find out more real specifics about all the details and stuff like that on Rainbow Theory. So I'm real excited about that. And as much as excited as I am for the next Crypto Fight Night, because that's actually going to be awesome, because I'm betting on Ben, and I had no idea that Ansem was that tall. But on a serious note, this just popped up about 30 minutes ago. It looks like BingX may actually be hacked right now. Even if this stuff isn't true, dude, go sit in a cold wallet for a bit, or diversify your funds into some other exchanges, preferably an exchange that exists where you live. I've always been an advocate. Don't trust or put your whole bag in an exchange overseas in a country you've never been to and have no legal jurisdiction in. At the end of the day, if you're in a more legit exchange that's in your country, you can go knock on their door and sue them and hopefully get your funds back. So big advocate of that. But anyway, what's up, Nexus? What's up, Min? You guys both rocking Twitch. So if you guys want to know what my real recommendation is, we do have an affiliate program set up with Kraken. My two favorite exchanges pretty much have always been Coinbase and Kraken. And I've got to be honest, I prefer the fees and the user GUI in particular. I'm very particular about GUIs, and their trading experiences really gone above and beyond. But anyway, we're gonna go straight into it. Go straight into Bitcoin. And one of the tweets that popped up, 9K has been real busy with life, family, and all that. He's a new dad as well, but he's basically saying 66,000 on Bitcoin, and it's full blown game on for Bitcoin. And I kind of tend to agree with it. We got our charts here. We've had this chart that we've been studying for the longest time, and This has been the deal breaker for a lot of people. So many people rode this ride up from when we broke up the accumulation range way back when. I don't want to zoom all the way out and drop out of 4-hour candles. You know, that's my preferred candle. But that's where we're at. The Fed rate cut obviously happened. The markets have been responding. Moving forward into this, it's really starting to see pumps, but people are skeptical. People are skittish, and rightfully so. We continue to reclaim. I don't have the drawings up here because it's on a different layout. I can draw them real quick, but I've covered it on so many of the streams. Creek 1, Creek 2, we jumped both of those. You can go check the Discord charts. We actually played those multiple Rainbow Theory traders in the Discord, and then we caught the capitulation which was the yen carry trade. As easy it is to say that in hindsight, we actually did trade it. We weren't perfect with it, but we did good. And as fun as it is to talk about that, that was a grueling like 6 months. It's was very boring and not fun, but we're here. We're still moving. And the real big question was, is this range? Because I've covered it on multiple streams. This is not textbook Wyckoff anymore. This isn't textbook anything. If anything that's left of it, it kind of looks like a gigantic bear flag. Kinda. But like you got to force it. So we're going to look at it like this. You know, like how Rainbow Theory goes. We look at Wyckoff, we look at whales, we look at quant stuff, we look at colors, we look at a lot of things. We sniffed out a creek jump. We sniffed out another creek jump. A capitulation hit here, which wasn't really, I don't think, on the plan for the Bitcoin whales because the whole market tanked on that yen carry trade across just about every asset across the whole damn world. But regardless, we buy white candles, we buy pink RSI, and we buy stuff that tags the reversion band, especially on like Bitcoin. A lot of alts can dive deep, but that was really deep for Bitcoin. And then you guys saw I got spooked out right there. On the 2 hour in particular, I wasn't looking for it, but that was a textbook bark to me. HMA cross, hairline, printed some really nice colors. I wasn't looking to try to get out on a BART, and we did some definite chop here, but typically when we have a capitulation wick, this area that prints after it is usually really choppy and like beats people to a pulp. So I just kind of, I don't worry about this unless it gets to my entry price, then I got to look to bail. But this one printed so violently with such a perfect hairline. And for those that don't know Barts, or you're new to these streams, they call it a Bart Simpson. It looks like the character that it's named after in the show, Mr. Bart Simpson. And because you get these crazy hairlines where the whales are actually offloading and they're not planning to run out. They take profits and then they nuke the price back down. And you ask yourself, why would they ever do that? That makes no sense to go up and down. They liquidate the people that are on leverage short with a violent pump. They let people long it late, and then they go straight back down, and then they liquidate the longs. And they do it over and over again. So, anyway, I exited here right around there, and I got in right around here. But to kick this off, because I forgot the intro, this stream is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as financial advice. Even if you were to mistake this for financial advice, this is clearly a DJ'd art show. So anyway, moving on. And I've just been kind of chilling. I've been real weird about the FOMC. All these people been begging for a cut. It seems overcrowded. I was kind of skittish. So I've just been kind of chilling and trying to look at a few alt plays, but nothing really serious or doing anything weird. What's up, Sean? Love you, dude. And now we're kind of pumping. And the one thing that does stick out to me when I go back to like H4, we've got a trend here that was pretty consistent. This line coming down here. This, I kind of head and shoulder, but not really the way the top's printed, but we're definitely breaking through this, and we started to get some whale prints, and then we actually got to see some of the alts start to really pop. One of the things I've noticed lately is when Bitcoin during this range, when Bitcoin's kind of on the side, none of the alts want to run. None of them want to move at all. And right now, on this uptrend, we're actually starting to see some liquidity go into the alts. So it's kind of interesting. But as much as I want to be gung-ho bull mode, these are my resistance targets here. We have a H4 pivot here at like 65.5, which is right around what like 9K was talking about. And then we have these two order blocks up here, which, if you've seen, have rejected us multiple times. So odds are, you know, I always talk about doing the opposite of your instinct. You know, if Costanza says if every instinct you have is wrong, I should just do the opposite and be like a killer, be a winner. That's kind of the thing here. It's odds are not with you to long 72 to 74. Odds, the better odds are to wait until we're above it, right? We're not there yet. And with every range, eventually they do get broken for the upside or the downside, right? That is a thing. That happens every time. Nothing goes sideways forever. Some of those old school charts take 10 years, but they do break out. That's starting potentially another leg up. And we've got a lot of stuff to go through. We had the rate cuts Wednesday. Thursday was a great market rally, and now we're going into Friday. Maybe we're going to have a ridiculous alt weekend. We shall see. I don't think we're going to get really big Bitcoin and Ethereum rallies now that we have the ETF flows. I think those are going to stay landlocked until the markets are open. I think that's going to be a shift change we see. I don't think we're going to just randomly go on a Saturday on a run up to $80,000 and leave this gigantic gap on IBIT. I don't think that's going to be a thing. I would love to be wrong. But I think that's more, we're going to start going to like low cap alt trading on the weekends and pretty much only playing the majors during the week. But anyway, this is my levels. So I like it. I'm skittish a little bit. We have an election coming up in like 47 days. We have our next FOMC in 48 days. Literally, the Fed put the next FOMC the day after election night. Go figure. And we don't get an FOMC rate decision next week or next month. So September, November, and then all hell breaks loose, right? The market is trying to figure out how to price in 50 basis points cut because that's higher than what people wanted. And crypto's trying to navigate it as well. We got some pumps, we got a little pullback, and then we had some more rallies today. I'm hoping we have a killer close going into Friday. But I will say this. These are your levels. 66, 65, 5, call it 66. You have an order block here from 68 to 60 or to 70. I'll be honest, we break 70 again, people can get real excited. Especially if we can reclaim this, because you remember we only went like tap, 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 and then we nuked. And then the last one is here. And you guys aren't going to have to ask Rainbow Theory or look at charts to find out if we're bullish above that last block. Crypto, Twitter, and all your friends will let you know. Trust me, this will be loud. But that's where we're at with Bitcoin. There's been a lot of people that have like pivoted all around this. They've made up a bunch of stuff. They've had some good calls. They've had some bad calls. It's been a monster, and the people need to be honest with you. This has been a very, very hard range. We've been dealt with very, very hard ranges the past 2 years on Bitcoin. But we just keep trading colors. We keep trading support resistance, and that's just what we're going to do. And we'll do it till it quits working, right? Knock on wood. But we tend to be doing decently consistently over time is the way I want to see it. I don't want to be flaunting there, but there's stuff we can catch that I think a lot of other people tend to freak out about. Because during this whole range, people have been like losing their minds, and I'm like, guys, we bought the capitulation weeks on the end. It just looked too great, and we got to the BART, and I've just been kind of risk off. And if you don't know, you can sit in stables in North America and earn a little over 5%. So just maybe or may not look into that. What's up, Paradigm? Tell Huck hello. Anyway, that's where we're kind of at. And in general, I hate trading mid-range chop, and that's exactly what we are. These are only blues and greens. I'm not so crazy about it. I like getting in when it's real scary or at a very, very obvious setup. But albeit there's only been 3 of them in the past 7 months of this range. Now this is not where I'm looking to get entries. It's just not. There's lagging alts that I kind of like, but for the most part, we kind of got to see what happens here. But with that being said, we are starting to get well prints. So if these bad boys follow through, they have a lot of momentum to generate to get through this thing. There is an ungodly amount of orders stacked here, and I can show you that in a minute. And frankly, we're going to have to keep an idea. We're going to have to keep a watchful eye, there we go, on the volume. It is going to take a lot of volume to punch through this thing. And that's just the way life is. We saw this on Sol. Sol went up, hit an all-time high, went to like reclaim it, and then the volume just completely faded off the books, and it did like a 50-60% retrace. Not calling for Bitcoin to do a 50-60% retrace, but what I am calling for is if we work all the way back up from $49,000 up to 70, the bulls have to show up. They have to. If we don't increase momentum through that damn wall, we're not climbing above it. And we have to be really skittish. Because we don't want to get bullish with our pocketbooks here. We want to get long when it's painful, and we want to like get more protective of our funds at the higher range, right? Like that's what you want to do. The most gratifying feeling in the world is say, hey, Bitcoin's 70K, I want to long it. But you got to be really careful, because every time we've come up to this like 70K range, we've pulled down. Like the odds are against you that we're going to break through. So just keep that in mind. And, just eventually one of these ranges is going to win. The bulls or the bears, we'll have to see. But right now, rates were cut, and we're starting to have momentum trajectories going back up. Now, if they can get through it, we don't know. But what I'm saying is the last thing I want these bulls to do is peek their head up here with like a candle or two, fade out on volume, and then just bleed. Because we do not want to get burned on that. Remember the old creek videos where I show you how the mountain forms and then the creek comes and wrecks everybody? If you bite there and there's no follow through and you don't protect it, because a lot of people right now, they have an alert right here. They have an alert. And it says all-time high. As soon as you cross that price, that's their go signal. These whales will come up, wick that thing to trigger their alerts, force people to FOMO long, right? And then price will do the opposite and grind back down. It may not grind all the way down to 40K again, but they will eat you alive. They can eat you alive. So just be cognizant of what you could be stepping into. Because trust me, as bad as negative as that sounds, higher prices are bullish. At the end of the day, higher prices are bullish. Welcome to my paid group, right? No, that's just what we have to look through, and that's kind of like those levels there. And we're going to have to push to get through those. And looking here, this is confluence on some of the major exchanges. So this is Finex. Finex whales are kind of weird. This is a program called Trading Light. So if you guys don't know what all these white dots are, this is like heat maps of the previous limit orders that were left in the books. So right now I can literally see where people are putting their money to go short and go long, and I can do a bunch of different clever color adjustments. So shout out Trading Light. I buy their product. I like it. And we can kind of see what the whales are doing, and you can see what some quants are doing and stuff. But you remember 9K's tweet about 66K? That right there is 65 to 66 stacked thick with orders. I can tell you that's not a human. That's a quant whale. That's a big whale with big funds with big computers putting a bunch of money on the line saying, I'm putting a sell wall here, which is either I'm trying to get out at this price or I'm trying to hold price down. It's whatever. In general, people hunt liquidity as well. So the price, you could say that's the target, right? Which is higher, but we don't want to see price go down. If you go and look at Coinbase is like martingale out. Every single line above and below is a spread of limit orders and limit buys. And right now, Coinbase is limited ordered from like 66, the same 9K number, all the way up to $80,000. And these are These are held in place by like the back end of the API, and these are like not super small lines. That's 80 Bitcoin at 71K. That's 36 Bitcoin at 71.5. That's 115. So you see how it's exactly at 72,000? That's a guy with an algorithm, and he's got one at 71.5, and he's got one at 71,000. It's a big dude. It's a lot of money there. And there's also on the bottom side, like the opposite's happening. They got people trying to catch it, and they got people trying to sell it at the same time. Albeit these bids are a bit smaller. These are like 30, 40, 20 to 40. So anyway, keep that in mind. This, like when I say like we have to build momentum to get through this, all of this is this here that you see here. So there's like rainbow theory where we're projecting where the algorithms, like my algorithms, are going to think the walls are. Well, there's your actual walls on Coinbase right now with people's money on the line. That's where that's at. So there's confluence here to see what they're doing. So that's 66 to like 70, 80K or whatever. But like that's what we have to cut through. If we zoom way out, you can see it's been like this for a while, but you know, that's the whole way up. You got to get through that. And then at the extremity, you see some weird stuff with those dudes' equations, how they move their liquidity around. But anyway, we're rejecting from the all-time high VWAP right now. Those asks can vanish at any time. Yeah, Dime's correct. So there is another thing, and this is a real weird thing about whales. These dudes will put, say that says 65K Bitcoiner there at $64,000. That's not necessarily true. Now, the open order is there, but a lot of these are also spoof bids. So, and what's a spoof bid mean? Say you have like a bunch of money and you want to make it look like there's a giant wall. These quants are really, really good at faking, or say these whales are really good at faking that they have power of the order book, and they don't want you. It's impossible to get through it. It's kind of what they're implying, right? Go back to that's is it Bitfinex? Yeah, I have to go back to 30 minutes to see it. So this looks like an unstoppable wall, but in reality, if you were like a big bull and you had money and funds to throw at it, you could send price up here and think, I'm gonna gobble up this bear's liquidity. And actually, when you get here and try to touch these, you can't actually execute their orders, and they move their orders like a millisecond away and out of the order book before you touch them. I used to mess with some smaller whales on like, I don't even remember the coins. They were really low caps, and I would throw market bids. There would be like walls on the exchange, let's just say like this, and I would, on a really super small altcoin, not Litecoin, I would throw a market bid I knew would technically execute their entire wall. And what would happen was my order would come in a market bid, tap it. The instant I tapped their limit orders, they would make them disappear, and I would force price to go up. So they were baiting me to think I could take out their wall, and what it was is I'd get to the wall, it would disappear, and then price would go higher. So anyway, that's how order book kind of looks and what we're really looking at as far as resistance and far as Bitcoin and stuff like that. So shout out Trading Light. They have a really good product. I don't know their team. I just like their stuff. Anyway, another thing, if you didn't see, ZachXBT did a giant investigation where $243 million from a single person was hacked through social engineering and went through a bunch of different hands, and they left a paper trail all through Discord, all through Instagram, started throwing money, lavish parties, and actually some of these dudes have been arrested and some of the funds have actually been recovered. So shout out ZachXBT. But he does all the tracking, and this is like a really cool post to read, so I'll drop it in the chat if you guys want to go read that one. But they've actually got like videos of these guys interacting with this stuff, and the funny thing is like some of these dudes are watching Twitch gaming streams while they're hacking like $200 million from a dude. It gets really, really extravagant and really, really crazy, all the stuff they did. fact that they hack and talk in big Discord servers and post anything on Instagram is crazy, but I always got to tell people, like, how could someone so smart do something so dumb? You could be an absolute genius and be a dumbass at the same time. As much as I love Elon Musk and his IQ is through the roof, he does some really weird, goofy stuff sometimes just for the hell of it, and it's just him being him. But they started busting the dudes. Hopefully they recover more of the funds. A lot of it's been washed away with Monero and everything else, scramblers, etc. But it's worth a read and go check some stuff out, because that's actually a pretty cool thing that Zach XBT was able to get through this. And anyway, it's too much for me to cover in one stream, but I wanted to bring that up because it was pretty cool. Anyway, moving on. ETF flows. Been bearish, been bullish, been bleedy. Well, we're starting to turn a page, and we've been having some bullish flows as well. And some of the weird stuff that I've kind of seen here is you can see IBIT come in and do 0, and then Fidelity do 102. So I wish these exchanges, or these products, not the exchanges, these products would come out and do explain how they manage their books. So this many zeros in a row, they have flow, right? They have flow in and out of the exchange, but they have a buffer, so they only interact with these numbers when they need to adjust kind of their back end. But it's really interesting to me that IBIT can go like 4 days in a row, and they're like, you know what, we're good with our reserves, we'll wait. And then they finally get it to the point where they have to buy some from Coinbase. Coinbase Prime, I believe, is what the current name of their custody is. They change this stuff all the time. Coinbase One, Coinbase Blue, whatever. But anyway, most of these are Coinbase, but they do the backing stuff on there, and they don't report their numbers at the end of the day at the same time. So it's kind of weird, because this type of stuff should be automated, in my opinion, and this data should be in within 5 minutes of the close. I think it should be, because this website, Farside, shout out Farside, they pull this through an API. And it's really disturbing how long some of this takes. But look, Fidelity's already come in with another 50 mil. So anyway, Corey Lee, if you guys don't, well, 2 of the 3 streams can't see what he's saying, but he's asking if I could take a look at coin. I'm gonna do coin right now because I meant to put it on the chart, but I didn't. So let's see. Been working on notes for the GitHub. Dime may or may not be interested in the coin charts. So Coinbase has been a really, really interesting one. And I normally never trade this, but the Discord's been on fire with it. And it's been printing particular things that have gotten my attention to where I'm interested in one to play and have played. There was the capitulation wick here. I just was looking at low time frame candles on the rainbow colors, and I was like, that's too gnarly in a reversion band. Like, Coinbase is going to 0 where it's going to pop. It popped. I sold somewhere around here. Decent scalp on spot, nothing crazy. And then it continued to roll over, and it came back and it tested this order block here, which is from these previous pivots. So it's drawn over, but it's still in play. And we came in and hit it, and we went all the way to white candles deeper into the reversion bands on higher RSIs than the yen carry trade did. So we actually have, this is only cyan RSI, this is pink RSI, which is 2 levels stronger. It's the strongest RSI print we can get. And then we proceeded to rotate out of the colors, and we got like an H1 bottom, we got an H2 bottom, and I think we got an H4 too. Yeah, everything started firing off on the runner bot, and I was like, all right, I got a party. I'm gonna play again. So I've got another entry on this. Not that this is financial advice where we talk about anything in real life, but hopping back in, and it's pulling back out of the reversion bands, and it got rejected on the bull bear line, which is where the colors invert. So we shall see. Like, you guys were tired of not having volatility. We got volatility back, so it's time to trade. In general, though, Coinbase whales tend to bounce off of these reversion bands pretty hard. We don't hit them very often, but when we do, pop hard. So my goal here, and I'm not saying we're going to get this, but the goal is to hit the home run. If we get the home run, bleed into this band, we print whites, and we full send and hit the other side of this band. This one was so violent back in the day, it moved the machine learning bands, which is the cyan color. and increase the gains on those. Bunch of pumps. Now, this could be bearish continuation, and we just keep diving in, pop, diving in, pop. That's totally can be a thing. But what I want to see is a floor, and the fact that we have an order block here from a previous resistance or previous support levels, I want to see this hold and come up and out of this band. In general, Coinbase doesn't like staying in this reversion band. It tends to pull up and out of it. So eventually we'll get the low is in, and she'll pull back up. And if I get the home run, I get to tag this side somewhere on these reversion bands, whether it's the green reversion band or it's the cyan, which is the machine learning one. That's the home run we want to see set up. Will we get there? Like I said, I don't know, but we'll see, right? We don't want to long up here when we're peaking out. We want to long here when it's getting bloody. So that's how you would get rainbow theory on Coinbase. So delete all these markups, but that's the idea. Hopefully the squeeze is in and we pump in and out and Dime doesn't have to be scared anymore. Yeah, it does lag Bitcoin a bit, but it also is heavily influenced by Bitcoin, so you got to kind of watch how those whales interact. They're related, but they're different animals. It's kind of the easiest way I can explain it. So moving on, my bearish case for Bitcoin. Scottie Pippen posted that Satoshi Nakamoto sent me this message in my dream last night and said, "You're not the only bull that resembles history, my friend." Oh, it hurts. Now I'm even more bullish on Bitcoin. Not financial advice. Be like Satoshi. He's not. You know what? That's actually a Scottie Pippen tweet without the hashtag of the bull coin. Oh, there's a dog Pippen coin now. Anyway, 500,000 views. Great news. But long story short, he's implying we're going to like $300,000. So, if you like Scottie Pippen for your TA, he still has the ball stuff up. But if you're all about this, maybe that's the counter call. Because when this dude was launched like Game 5 ball stuff, that's when we peaked out on Bitcoin. So, anyway. Moving on to crypto number 2, and I had to see it, so you have to see it.
And its properties are from better than all the rest of them. It's mathematical. No more double spend. It's cryptable. Put your cash in your brain or it's bearable. A new form of wealth begins.
So my well-being and financial career is in that man's hands, and he's singing a cappella in Token 2049. And I'll be honest though, if I flew all the way to Singapore and I had to witness Vitalik speak, I'd rather say I was the guy who was there when he started singing. But yeah, maybe it's bullish. And Dan Crypto actually pointed out at 2270 is when Vitalik started singing, and prices pumped up to almost 2,500 cents. So maybe Vitalik singing is actually more bullish than we thought. So moving on. Just had to bring those up, and I'm sorry you had to witness that singing, but that's where we're at. Ethereum has been the most overhated thing this year. Stable coins have basically outrun this. If you look at the right timing windows, it's nasty, it's bad, but it's the number 2 crypto in the world. It's got BlackRock behind it. It's got a lot of things. So maybe this is going to be the long play that pays out. Maybe it doesn't. If you ignore all those things, we're starting to form bottomy looking symbols here and setups. We had the liquidity dump into here on the yen carry trade. Surprise, surprise, all these things bottom out at the same time. Just how it goes. Yeah, F going to 0 now, Mally. But which F? Ethereum Classic or Vitalik F? We got a piggyback here. That is a Wyckoff fish Deathwick thing. It's kind of where Rainbow Theory took the Wyckoff accumulation prints and took them a little deeper. And we woke up the cave troll. But Anyway, this is oh yeah, shoot, we got the new episode today on Rings of Power, didn't we? Been enjoying that. If you didn't, it's kind of worth it. It's not as good as the OG movies, but you're back in that world, so it's kind of fun. But anyway, rejection here, pump, and guess what? Top signals, rejection rollovers on other top signals, and then we kind of bled out, and now we're starting to pick up steam again. Not my favorite top signal. They rejected that mid-range pivot there as well. But we've had, the big thing here are these. Support. There's a big wall here at 2100 to like 2150. There's a lot of orders here. There's a lot of whales here willing to play. A lot. And it's not that they're willing to pump it to $5,000 right now, but there's a lot of them that are saying like, no, you're not going lower in here. You're not going sub 2. It's kind of what they're showing here. This was big sell-offs, and then eventually you see the big bull come in and say, no more. I'm done. You're done. We're popping back up, and we're going to start reverting. So now we got to wait and see if it squeezes and it pops to the other side. If this thing starts God candling up, there's TP levels all over this chart. It's going to be a mess. We're really looking at 4,000 here. I don't want to talk about that. And these are my old markups for, obviously I'm working on that wiki thing, so ignore those for now. But this is a lot of stuff. Realistically, get to here, 2,800, and then we have to reassess. Especially if we get these reversion bands still here when we arrive. I would like to see these reversion bands higher, and then we crawl under them. That way we can sustain the run. So just be careful. But this thing has been really pumpy, printing BARTs and then dumping. That's been a thing for Ethereum for a while. So just be careful with that one. So moving on. That's my thoughts on Ethereum. I'm going to do a quick little demo for someone who refuses to pick up a mic. And Pixa nailed a short today. So Pixa loves volatility. He's one of our OGs of the OGs in the Discord. And he's one of the ones that really, he uses the hell out of the reversion bands as well as the liquidity tools. And he actually got a short up here on Reef today because Reef completely blew up. Volume went bonkers. And at full stint went above the cyan bands, the machine learning bands. Like the machine learning bands from here on are increasing. These are daily candles. And it hit liquidation levels that were printed on the liquidation tools. So liquidation levels here. Those are what are projecting where people get not rejected. That's where people get liquidated. It's where it's a big long algorithm. It's a long story. Go watch the video because it's like damn near 3,000 lines of code. But it projects where people get liquidated. So this is projecting where the bulls will tap out, or the bears will tap out that shorted this thing. And lo and behold, Pixa got a pink candle on white RSI into the liquidation bands, and he shorted it, high leverage, and did really, really well. This dude scares the crap out of me. I hate high leverage, but he's insane with it. So go follow him. Go shoot him a message in the Discord. Tell him to turn his microphone on and come hang out with us sometime on stream. So transitioning over to traditional markets, FOMC was this week, and we got our first rate cut, and Powell did no surprisers. He projected he was going to do a rate cut. And what was interesting, every single bank except Jamie Dimon's JP Morgan was predicting 25. You were basically going to get 25 or 50. The 75 and 0 and 100 weren't really priced in. But everybody got it wrong except Diamond, which was interesting. So we'll see. This is, I call him all caps, dude. But he's actually screenshotting a screen, which is fun. But anyway, it was pretty cool to see that. And then right before the cut, shout out Blockworks. They actually had Darius Dale on. Go watch this stream. It's really good. The dude's really, really smart. And he lays out like forward looking past the FOMC before it hits. He had some really good data. This is like an hour-long video, so we're obviously not going to cover it here. I've only got 19 minutes left, but wanted to show that and give a shout out to Blockworks because that was a really good video. Anyway, moving on. This was kind of an interesting thing. Our guy Hotpins. When I'm scared macro, I message Hotpins for advice because he's OG. He's an OG moonshot guy that's picked up Rainbow Tools, and we've become real good friends. But he's got a really good trading background, and I always pick his advice on macro trades because he's got really good insight. But this is one of the posts that he posted in one of the Discords, and I thought was really interesting. And it's not that I'm bearish. People keep asking me if I'm bullish or bearish on TradeFi. I get skittish. That's where it's like I'm walking. I understand I'm walking through a door, and I've got to be cognizant that I'm walking through a door. Some people will walk through a door and not realize they're walking through a door, and then everything changes and they're not prepared for it. Things are set up right now for a bull run. But in the past, the last 3 times the Fed has initiated cutting cycle with a half percentile, 50 basis points, we've had major pullbacks. 56%, 53%, 2001, 2007. Now, albeit those were bubbles. And it's totally different. It's not like we're in a bubble now. Wait a minute. Maybe we are in an AI bubble. Maybe. We are in an election year. We are on a bunch of AI pump stocks. Crypto's at all-time high. I'm walking through this door going into the election, into this 50 basis point rate cuts, knowing that they're at a very high altitude and there's room below my feet. So I don't want to get stupid here, see something start to turn, and have issues with it. So that's kind of something to be cognizant of. The worst thing is just to be full-on bull and have no backup plan in case things turn bearish. This is where I want to be optimistically bullish, but I got to deal with my emotions to make sure that I keep this type of stuff in check. But to keep it in check, we're going to go back to the Scottie Pippen. So there's your bear, there's your bull. Maybe Scottie Pippen is the better trader. Maybe. We don't know yet. We don't know. But S&P is all-time high. And to quote the great Josh Elswicks, I know I'm butchering that last name, and I know I still can't spell it right. Higher highs are bullish. So this is great. Now, is this going to be the 50% or 25% retrace that happened at last cuts? Lord help us if it is, because that's 25. 4,200. This would suck bad. And that's only the 25, not the 50. Remember, he showed, well, I deleted his thing, but regardless, that's the weaker of the two of the previous cuts. That's what I want to be cognizant of. We are pumped up. We are locked and loaded. And most people assume rate cuts are bullish. And we have to be careful with that because not everything is guaranteed. Things rhyme, things reason, but they're not always the same. And in this situation, you have to realize Powell is cutting rates not to spur growth. He's cutting rates not to bring them low. He's cutting rates to bring them back down to normal. So he's increased rates to deal with inflation. He wants to bring them back to the norm. It's not as if Jerome was sitting in the norm range and grossly lowered them to spur the economy. He's got to move his rates back down to a normal rate and find out what the normal rate is where the economy will still kind of balance inflation and not blow inflation back up. If he starts cutting rates and inflation just starts flying off again, which I don't think it will if he's steady with it, like that's the thing he has to gauge, things are going to get really interesting. So, and regardless, whatever this chart says, we've got like 47 days till there's a gigantic election, which tons of drama. And I can guarantee you it's a coin toss. Who's going to win? It's a tight race. And the market is going to outlook on that differently. Very differently. So that's just being real. So I was having a talk with one of my lawyer buddies today. He's like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And I was like, man, things are looking lined up like it's really good. I want to believe in it. I want to be exposed to it. But at the same time, I'm not like we have to do a check-in in 47 days. And also, we have to do a check-in at the end of the month. If you guys don't know, September 29th, CZ gets out of jail. So keep that in mind. We got CZ coming back, and then we got an election. Like, volatility is going to be coming out the wazoo. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, another thing, I'm going to move on from S&P. That's my thought on this S&P. We'll come back to another TradeFi indicator once we slip into the Doppel section of the stream. But I don't know if this is a coincidence or not. But I don't know anybody else who talks rainbow or talks trading Dutch Bros, but we actually consume a lot of Dutch Bros Discord, the Rainbow Trends OGs, as well as trade it. And I saw this today on the menu as a seasonality, the Double Rain Bro Dirty Rebel, which is a coconut, peach, strawberry, and sweet cream energy drink. And if you know me, the only thing I buy from Dutch Bros is the frozen Kokomo. I really like coconut coffee. Go figure. I don't know. This almost seems like it's not a coincidence. And we may or may not have been taking longs on Dutch Bros. If you've been watching Mally go off, he's been really, really big on this nuke here. This thing gapped hard from $37 all the way to $27. So they basically had like earnings hit the same time as the yen carry trade. Lights out. And you normally don't see Dutch Bros print white candles in a reversion band. And so far, it has reclaimed 30%, 29%. It hasn't even done the home run yet. And no, this isn't like a low cap altcoin. This is freaking a coffee company on the New York Stock Exchange. And you're seeing the same trade setups that we trade shitcoins on, printing on coffee, which is kind of cool. So just kind of yin yang, crypto, Wyckoff, Rainbow Theory. Call it what you want. It's pretty cool to see it. And I really like their stuff. And kids are crazy about it. So I'm bullish on the company. I like their product. They kill it on earnings. And the trade's continuing. It's kind of cool. But I have to go look up some of the Mally posts on that one, so it's pretty cool. So transitioning from the drinks that I order in the drive-thru, we're going to transition to the vehicles that I drive to get to Dutch Bros. And if you don't know, Toyota made a Humvee back in the day called the Toyota Mega Cruiser. I believe this was the inspiration for the Simpsons Camionero. But if you have not seen these, go check them out. They are absolute monsters. A lot of them were basically designed and built for like to be a Humvee for like medical responses or very, very extreme things. I don't think they sold them to the public, but this thing is absolutely gigantic, and they have a big diesel motor. Comes with its own rack, so you can go live down by the river. But holy cow! It ended. The auction ended today. Dang it! They hit $82,000, and it didn't even, the reserve wasn't met. But these things are freaking cool. I want one really, really bad. Some of these are like fully decked out, like with military stuff in them, and then some of them actually have like the back end is converted to be like a hospital thing, so it's like an off-roadish ambulance. They're beyond cool. They didn't make many of them, but it's super cool. And if you didn't know, there's your alpha for today as far as older diesel technology. Like, look at this thing is gigantic. But if you guys didn't know, my wifey's Honda finally took a dump, and we decided to get rid of it. And I switched her over to the life of Toyota. We're going to eventually look at the Toyota chart, so bear with me. But I wanted to show you something that I learned during my car shop. And you're going to ask yourself, Runner, did you really purchase a car a week or two before the Fed rate cut? Yes, I did. So the electrical issues on the Honda called for us to do this, and we had to do it. But one of the interesting things I learned, and the dealer that we're really good friends with confirmed, is this. My wife deals with a bunch of kids who spill food and drinks all the time. We have a hairy dog, and she has to have leather. And I started looking at like the Toyota Highlander, the 4Runner, the RAV4, and one of the things I noticed is every time I put leather seats on the features, the price is shot through the roof on the Toyota cars. And I started getting frustrated because I was like, RAV4 should not be this expensive. Like, it's the base model SUV. They're not that crazy. And even when you put leather in them, it's not crazy leather. So out of an act of desperation, because I know that the Toyotas and the Lexuses share the same basic like chassis components, I started looking at the Lexus prices. And if there's something you should notice here, the high-end luxury Lexuses are cheaper than the leather spec Toyotas. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, there has to be something wrong. And I did more research. And no, what's happened over the past few years with the used car market, Toyota prices have gone up, but Lexus have not. And we ended up going with a RX 350 for my wife, and she could not be any happier. And what's really cool about these, because I was the RX 200 has a turbo engine, which I didn't want to mess with because I don't like direct injection turbo engines for family vehicles because I just want naturally aspirated, long lasting stuff. This Lexus, the RX 350, not the 200, has a Toyota Tacoma engine in it. So it's got a naturally aspirated Toyota Tacoma engine in it with a real transmission, an 8-speed transmission. It doesn't have a CVT like the Hondas do. So even like the Honda CR-Vs come with they come with a CVT transmissions, which aren't the best, most reliable things past 100,000 miles. And it's got a naturally aspirated engine with like 290 horse. It's quick. And this interior is phenomenal, and it's higher spec than the Toyotas. And they're cheaper. Like it's a weird flaw. Do with the data what you want. But if you're looking at the Toyotas and you're like, look at this. This is basic stuff. It's not nice like the Lexus, but this is a more expensive car. So go figure. I have no idea why this loophole exists, but check it out. Maybe you think you can't afford the luxury version of the Toyotas. You can. And it's kind of crazy. When I asked the dealer about it, he said the same thing. He's like, yeah, it's across the board. He goes that we sell the used Toyotas more expensive than the used Lexuses, even though they have the same engines and transmissions and body with better interior and better features. No, doesn't matter. But if you guys didn't know, Toyota stock has not been looking so hot. While Ford's been kind of lagging with a low range, this thing broke out, went to a crazy, crazy all-time high, and it's proceeded to kind of come back down and start not doing so hot. I don't know if it's really the cause, but if you didn't know, Toyota recalled over like 100,000 Toyota Tundras before they even had a solution, which means they quit being able to even sell them or take them in as trades. And they proceeded to say, recalled, safety recalled, the engine shut off while driving. We don't have a fix yet, but we will. They finally came out with a fix and they said, all right, 100,000 Tundras come in. We are going to give you brand new engines, entire engines. So Toyota, during this time, recalled the North American Tundra, the new V6 twin turbo one, and they recalled all the engines except, I believe, the hybrid ones, because the hybrid ones will continue to drive once they're if the engine died. Long story short, there was metal shavings in the blocks, and once the shavings dislodged, they killed the engine. But Toyota's had to source 100,000 engines that they did not plan for, and Toyota planned stuff like years in advance. Like, they literally had to buy 600,000 pistons, right? And get them and start installing them. And I think it's like October or November. It's the end of the year. They're going to start replacing all the engines for free. So you're going to see a bunch of engines swapped out on these Tundras, like the entire things. And I hope they swap the turbos too, but we'll see. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. And I'm hoping this here is the floor for Toyota. Because if it is, that's a really nice support block to hold and get your flooring on. I've got a really, really easy answer once we get above 195. Like, it's an easier bullish continuation, but I want to see this break first. Because until then, this is still kind of like a trend line. I'm not confident that we've broken through all the way. So, anyway, that's my Toyota trade of the week. Another thing, transitioning over to Nancy Pelosi. So, we go over to TrendSpider. Shout out Dan Ushman. Thank you for the interview. That was a lot of fun. We'll do it someday again. When you guys get a bunch of cool new features, we'll go through it. I've been checking in on the NVIDIA trade with Nancy Pelosi because on July 30th where was it? July 30th, right around here. At like $107. Was that? No, let me zoom in. I've lost my markups. About like $111 is when she went long, over $1 million in notational value. And then price actually went below. And I was curious to see if she insider traded up here at the top before the market capitulated, because originally we were thinking like, hey, this could be bad for NVIDIA. Real bad. We don't know. I was curious to see if she sold the top and then reported it later, because they're not. Nancy Pelosi's a congresswoman. They have to report their trading, but they don't have to report it same day. So there's a lag of when they report it. So you'll find out she bought, a bottom before you can actually execute that bottom. But she's still in the position, which is really interesting to me, because I'm wanting to see how this plays out. That's her last trade, was July 30th. So she's not offloading this last month or so we've got left going into the election. So I really want to see what it does, because this thing was kind of scary. Nvidia was completely unstoppable until like June, and then it's been going sideways, and it actually hit the damn reversion band on the bottom, which was, I thought, there's no way. But it did. We got bottom prints. We popped back up. We formed a kind of a weird BART. We got all the rainbow rotation stuff. We got the top signal, the HMA karate chop, the RSI rotations, color rotations, you name it. You've seen me stream on those, how to do the BARTs. And then we came down and printed another bottom. We didn't go into the band, and now we're kind of chopping. So volatility is kind of squeezing here. We'll see what it does, but we did print another top, but it's ugly. We have to see what this thing's going to do. Maybe we start talking pin it, maybe. It's kind of closing in, but we will have to see. But the thing is, I'm cognizant of, this thing is really, really pulling at the heartstrings of the S&P 500. So this thing affects the S&P pretty heavily. But moving on, Stanley Druckenmiller has made some serious moves in Q2. He sold Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, very large caps, and he bought Wolf, Adobe, and Melly. I don't know what Melly is, but it's kind of interesting. Very notorious guy, and he's dumping large caps for small caps. At the same time, Doppel starts posting stuff like this. One of the few things is not like the other. S&P, DJI, NASDAQ, small cap 200, your old boy Russell 2000, is up. So we got Druckenmiller, we got Doppel, and we got IWM here looking at the Russell 2000. And it moves really interesting compared to the S&P. But while the S&P was kind of like pulling back before the rate cut, IWM was not. So it was kind of interesting. Small caps were starting to wake up. I want to keep an eye on this. I want to see if other people start talking about it. I want to see if Doppel keeps talking about it and moving from there. But we're at almost the end of the stream. If you guys are still here hanging out, please like, comment, subscribe. Really trying to grow the YouTube, so definitely go hit the YouTube subscribe button. I do not pay for bot views or anything like that, so we're really trying to grow it. But moving on, if you didn't know, P. Diddy looks like his days are up and he's been busted. And they found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil in his mansion, along with a bunch of unregistered AR-15s, illegal versions of the AR-15s, and apparently the video archives of all the illegal parties he had. So he's going to go to jail, and they're talking about busting a lot of other people. Now, this is one of the things I wanted to point out. This dude's going to jail for a very long time. Even if it gets off on all the other stuff, there's some serious implications by the photo the state posted. If you guys aren't aware, these are AR-15s. And these are AR-15s with barrels that are shorter than 16 inches, which means they are classified under the NFA Act, which makes them SBRs, which stands for short-barreled rifles. Now, short-barreled rifles are not illegal, but you have to have a registered tax stamp approved to possess them. It's the same process if you buy silencers or fully automatics or stuff like that. You can own them legally, but you have to do federal paperwork. It's a very long process, etc. He's pointing out here that the serial numbers on these AR-15s have been ground off, and they're trying to restore them. They don't know what these serial numbers are. Long story short, it's like a VIN number for your firearm, just like a car has a VIN number, so they can track the history of where it came from, who bought it, blah, blah, blah. P. Diddy got busted with serial numbers illegally ground off, also short barrels. So these are considered as illegal as like fully automatic guns not registered with the government. He's going to jail for a very long time based just solely off that picture. let alone all the other stuff that they're charging them. But I just wanted to bring that up because first off, the 1,000 bottles of baby oil, that's insane. I've seen like how people used to joke that you could buy like a barrel of that stuff at like Costco, and I guess that makes sense now, but they always had jokes about it and stuff. But we do need to check in on Johnson & Johnson quote their stock chart, because frankly their earnings are going to be lowered based on the P. Diddy going to jail. Their supply, there is not as much demand with that baby oil whale off the market. So we'll see. If you guys can't tell, I'm joking here. I don't think P. Diddy's mansion's affecting Johnson & Johnson, but I had to tie that into a stock chart in some way. But moving on to something serious. Intel's next revision of chips, A18. Go read all the Doppel write-ups. I can't understand half of what he's saying, but the issue with their chips where the circuits were dying, and anything I think over 35 watts is basically vulnerable for the past 3 or 4 generations. It's not looking good, but what's really interesting is Amazon extended a deal with them for these new AI fabric style chips, which are coming out, 18A, and they're doing a big AWS agreement with them for the Amazon clouds, and they're going to be pumping through with this, and a big deal. And if you guys didn't know, Intel pumped off this. So when I talked about like the Toyota chart, how it could just go bounce, and be like bearish continuation, this is what bearish continuation looks like. You get a dive into these bands and the bears went too aggressive. This was not efficient selling flow, I guess is the way to say it. We got a really nice floor here, and to be honest, it pumped 25%. So we had entries in here and I had the opportunity to get 25 and I didn't take it. Is what it is. I want the long-term trade. I want the full reversal on Intel, because to me, white candles on Intel, I don't think Intel's going anywhere. I think they're going to have to deal with some stuff for a while and then they'll pull up and out of it. It's the same thing. Like if you had to bet on NASA, it's like NASA may be going through some hell right now, but like they're going to be around in 50 years for sure. Well, we've nuked again, and this was off the yen carry trade. Not to sound like a broken horse, but that thing touched every chart, and we went hard again, and we went deeper. You can actually see the machine learning bands, the orange ones, diverting here, because Intel has never been at these levels before, ever. Not price levels, we're talking paint levels here. Intel has never nuked this freaking hard into the paint. Ever. And the reversion bands are waking up and saying, oh my God, we're getting touched for the first time. We have to increase our bearish sensitivity, and they're going to pull down. And so far, it's pulling back up and out. And that announcement with the AWS was a big kick here. This is what this move here is here until they kind of hit the channel walker, and then it's going to go sideways. So this wasn't our bottom. But now we've got candidate number 2 that looks even better to be a potential bottom. So we'll see. RMF, how many years for the baby oil? I don't know. Is there a legal amount? In an illegal amount? I did the math. In case you don't know, 1,000 bottles of baby oil is over 100 gallons. He had over 100 gallons of baby oil in his mansion. So, go figure. Last thing, before we hop over into the Discord for the roundtable, the SEC regrets any confusion it may have invited by falsely and repeatedly stating that tokens themselves are securities. This is a remarkable representation in footnote 6 of the SEC Gov's amended complaint against Binance. I hope blah 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 is getting more good sleep tonight. Shout out Paul. He's head of like legals, Coinbase legal team. I keep baiting him to see if he'll come on the stream because I'm a huge fan. And I may or may not send him this clip to see what he says, but this dude's always fighting the SEC and giving them a hard time. So I love seeing this, and just I hope we've only got like 50 days left of Gary Gensler, because they attacked Rory today. I think he's grasping at straws to get the last things out before he's fired. But anyway, moving on. We're heading to the roundtable. That's the end of the stream. Thank you guys for coming out. Like I said, if you just throw a subscribe on YouTube or Twitch, it helps us out a lot with all the bots. Not Cole Creator of the Year, unfortunately. You gotta go look into that dude's stuff. It was all over Twitter and it was awesome. But check us out in the Discord. I will see you guys later in about 2 minutes. and we'll go hang out there for the rest of the night. But I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming on, and all the love, all the support. Much appreciated.